Okay, you've got all your parts to net size. You should have 2 sides, 3 shelves, and you should also have a cleat. We're going to countersink some holes in the slots so that we can screw our shelf into our side like this. If your shelf isn't fitting into your side slot, you probably haven't sanded it yet. So for now, I can move all of my shelves and my cleat out of the way. So here's your before and here's your after. Drilling a countersink hole so that the top of the screw can sink below the surface of the wood. I'll start by taking the distance of this slot and cutting it approximately in half. Just leaving a little tick mark right there. For just about halfway. And I can use a speed square to mark that straight line all the way across. The right distance for your crosshair is about a finger away. That will leave you enough room so it doesn't split the wood like this. I also like using the speed square because I can use this inside edge to mark that crosshair. The most efficient way to do this is by lining up your boards and using a speed square to mark both at the same time. Once you have your 12 crosshairs, you're ready to drill. A regular drill bit will just drill a hole straight through the wood. That just leaves the screw poking out. Make sure that the right side button is pushed in for righty-tighty. So squeeze the trigger full all the way down until you get that cone and then pull back out. Okay, that looks right. Now I would consider this divot too small. That screw head doesn't have enough room to sink down. So you want to make it a little bit bigger like this guy. So now you should have 12 countersunk holes, 6 on each side. If you don't have this profile yet, don't worry, you can do that after. But if you do have a profile, it might help to label which way is the front. So I'll take my sides, look at my profiles, and decide, yep, this is my front. So I'm gonna write over here that my front is this way, and that my front is this way. You can also do one last dry fit by making sure your shelves fit inside of those slots, or deciding which one you want on top if you have a preference. But I want you to read this loud and clear. Glue clamps are not for gluing. Glue clamps are not for gluing. First off, it ruins this rubber. Second off, that grip strength just isn't enough to hold something together. The little grip is to slide it around. The big grip is just to tighten it. So I'll use the little grip and then the big grip to tighten it. I have to make sure that my joint looks perfect before I put the screw in place. I'm going to be using an impact driver with my driver bit, specifically a Phillips head. I don't know who Philip is, but he's smart enough to get this screw named after him. What I really want to avoid is stripping the top of this head. Screws strip when that bit just spins and spins on top of that.
He needs some milk.
But I recommend putting a few of these quick grips in the middle so it can hold your piece down for you. Now you can hear that clicking. You want to over tighten it or else that screw will start to strip. But how do I know when to stop? That gap will shrink as you tighten the screw. Once that gap is gone, you know you've tightened it enough. Again, getting these joints as close as I can will really pay off in the long run. Now we have our partially assembled clock. Just like our sides, we're gonna countersink 3 holes. These don't have to be exact. We're kind of just eyeballing a left, a middle, and a right hole. They're not at exact measurements, they just can't protrude through that triangle part right here. The clock cleat is a little different. We have 4 pocket screws. These go out at an angle to help suck your cleat up into your clock chassis. The pocket hole jig helps us drill at this weird angle. So if our screw pokes out on this end, we're gonna wanna put it this way up against the jig. You should hear that snap to make sure it's on tight enough. Just like any other drill procedure, I'm gonna keep my finger on the trigger all the way down and back out. The pocket hole drill has a collar on it, so it stops at the correct depth every time. For the clock cleat, I typically do 1 pocket here and another pocket on this end. Then I'll slide it down to the other side where it lines up again. I'm putting the cleat on the back of the top shelf. First, we used a countersink drill bit. Then we put a Phillips driver into an impact, and we used a Phillips head screw. Now we're using a pocket screw drill bit with a pocket screw driver bit for these panhead pocket screws. So the Phillips heads require a Phillips driver, which is that X shape, and the pocket screws have a square, which requires a pocket driver. Phillips pocket screw. If this is how my clock is gonna face me, right? I marked the front on both sides. If the front is facing me this way, I just need to flip it like this, 180. It can't be sitting on the outside. It has to be flush or to the inside to work. A word of caution, if you over tighten that screw too much, there is a chance it'll pop out of the bottom right here and rip through your wood. So the reason the cleat size didn't matter as much, when we put it on the wall, it is nice sometimes to have a little bit of wiggle room as to where you want to put it. And that's why I like leaving it just a little bit gappy, is so you can adjust it one way or the other. Chances are this might have not lined up perfectly, so do your best to sand these areas flat where any of the wood joints are happening. You might be asking yourself, why didn't we use any glue? Well, because we got to take this apart again to put in our clock face right here. You'll learn about biscuits and how to put these in to hold your clock face.